Well, hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'm going to take you along on a fun creative journey where I turn thrift store finds into upscale one-of-a-kind treasures for your home. We'll be taking a unique vase and making it over. The wall art transformation is going to be one that you definitely don't want to miss with this elevated vibe that you can add to any space. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's get right into it with some budget-friendly magic that will happen with this thrift store makeover DIY upscale transformations. Let's get right into the video. All right, let's get right into it. The first item I'm working on is this bamboo vase I picked up. It has a red tint. It's definitely not the vibe I'm going for, but I do love the texture it already has. So I'm keeping that as is, the texture that is. The size and shape are perfect, classic, and versatile for my decor. And a round vase like this can fit seamlessly into so many interiors, making it a great piece to style with different looks. And to give it a very upscale feel, I'm using a burnt umber paint from the craft section, and I'll apply at least 2 coats of that, letting it dry completely between each one of the coats. I really love this color because it dries, well, once it dries, it has this very rich, deep brown tone that feels very sophisticated and timeless. So let's get started on with this transformation. Next, I'll reach into my trusty bag of brushes. You can never have too many when it comes to DIY projects like this. And I always like to keep several on hand. I'll give the burnt umber paint a quick squeeze into a jar, but I'm not going to fill it up at all. A little of this paint, it goes a long way since it's thick and it provides great coverage. So I'm going to keep it at the full strength, no watering down here. Using one of the brushes, I'll spread the paint generously across the entire vase, making sure to get into every crack and crevice because I definitely don't want any of the red to peek through. As I mentioned earlier, I'll give it 2 coats, letting each one dry completely before moving on to the next one. So once I'm finished with that, I'll show you just how I styled this piece. It's going to be a total transformation, so stay tuned. And this is just where it is for now. And let's not forget those pillows in the background. Link in the description area. Designs by Shenell Etsy shop. This makeover is one for the books. This piece is 48 by 55 inches, and the video just does not depict the actual size. It doesn't do it justice. I snagged it for $9.99 at the thrift store, and it originally, as you can see, had a cityscape design, which definitely, it's not Chanel's vibe, but it would go excellently in a very modern interior. I wanted a very large scale piece to anchor the wall. No small clutter here. I prefer clean walls with, negative space. And this piece does the trick perfectly for me. Keep your eyes on it in case you have a desire to repeat this process. Focus on the top of the artwork and not so much the frame or the frame portion that's going around at the border. I'm going to handle that after this part because I didn't want to make this part over and then have to go back and clean it up in case if I got paint or anything on top of the actual canvas board. But this is actually just a board. It was originally a piece of artwork that came from IKEA, and I'm just going to make it over because I found it at the thrift store. And what I loved about it was the size, and of course that it did have a frame border that was already going around it. I'm going to use my roller and some basic house paint. Now you could be the type of artist that you want to be and go in and do this however you want to. If you want to do it artist paints, acrylics, however it is that you want to do it. I'm going to use some basic household paint, what I have on hand. And I am sitting in a chair because again I fractured my foot. My foot. So I'm sitting in a chair and I'll go around the entire thing and continue to cover it with the paint. Here's a look after the first coat. Since the original colors on the picture were very dark, as you've seen before in the previous clips, I'll need to go over with 2 coats to get a really good coverage. And once that second coat is dry, I'll grab some packing paper. You know, the kind of paper when you buy something that's breakable at the store and you get it for free. Yes, so this makes it a very budget-friendly DIY as well, along with it being a pre-loved piece from the thrift store, which is what I like to call them, pre-loved. And then I'll take the packing paper and I'm going to ball it up. You're going to gently do this because normally this packing paper is it's not very thick. So you want to be careful, because why you want to be careful is you don't want to tear it too many times. It will get a few rips, but you want as few rips as possible. But a couple is excellent because it will add a little bit of character to the artwork. Again, we're not going for perfection here because it is wall art, and it is art subject to how you want it to look and you want it to feel. So if you want it perfect, you can do that. But anyway, go on with crumpling the paper in your palms gently. And then once you do that, why I'm doing it so many times is because I don't want get as many crinkles as possible, and you'll see why when the artwork is completely done. Once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and just spread it out as evenly as possible, but not pulling out the wrinkles. Once I am done with that, I do like the ridges, the highs and the lows, which is something I definitely want to keep in the artwork. Because not only are we going for texture, but we're going for depth and movement in the piece. And again, you will notice that during or after I am completely done with it. I am showing you here because with this piece and how it is going to look, I want another border going around it. In other words, I wanted to have the background of the off-white, which is whisper white paint color, going around it. And I'm going to use at least 4 sheets of this paper on the entire piece. Again, remember the piece is very, very large. It's 48 by 55 inches in size. So it will take 4 pieces of this paper. And if you've ever bought anything and used this paper from the store, you know that this paper is very large as well. So you can kind of get an overview or feel as to how large this piece is going to be. You can also pull out your measuring tape and just give it a run so you can see in your real life, as you call it, how it will actually be in size. Then I'll just go ahead and continue to crumple up several of the papers, as I mentioned before, which is 4. Once I am done with that, I'm going to use my glue gun, and I'm just going to place several small dots along the paper, along the edges, not smoothing it out completely because again, we're going for movement along with depth, highs and lows, and you'll continue to see me go through as I lay down the paper and glue it down how I'm going to continue to add that movement with the paper. And in some parts of it, I took an extra small piece and stuffed it under it just so that I can definitely keep those highs and low points throughout the entire piece. So stay tuned in, and once I am done with all of that, I'm going to go in also with 2 different looks in 2 different spaces. And again, I want to reiterate the reason why I am showing you so much of this process is because I've had a few people who have already seen the piece on pictures that I've seen them, and a couple who have seen it in person, and they wanted to know the process of how I actually made the piece. And then for you all out there who are going to be viewing the video, you may want to repeat this process. And so that's why I'm going pretty much almost step by step in showing you how I created the look, so that you can have a excellent overview of it. So again, you can achieve the same thing with this DIY art transformation. Once I was done with the gluing all of it down, you can leave the paper as is if you like, because I like the natural look as well. I toyed around with that and it was a great look too, but for now I wanted to keep it very neutral, but who knows, down the line I might decide to add some color to it later. So I went in with water and paint mixture to give it another subtle finish. I used a 75% paint and 25% water mixture, brushing it lightly over portions of the paper. Again, I didn't want full coverage. I wanted the tan and beige tones to peek through for that added depth that I spoke of earlier. So for the second coat, I mixed in some baking soda for added texture and strength. You can also use plaster of Paris if you'd like to even give it a harder, heftier feel, and it will also make the piece even more heavier. But I didn't want that for my piece because I wanted to keep the painting lightweight for the wall, because I don't like using anchors on my walls. Lastly, to finish things off, I wanted to amp it up again, the frame that is. I used Rub and Buff in gold, lightly spreading it over the frame for a touch of elegance. You know, Shenell, she loves her gold. I didn't go for the full coverage, just one coat to keep it very subtle and unique, because I wanted some of the gray tone to kind of peek through. So once the frame was all done, I styled it in two different areas of the house for the video, that is. Let me know which area you like best, because honestly, I'm torn because it looks so beautiful in so many spaces, and that's what I love about creating my own or your very own art. It's very personal and it fits perfectly with the look and feel of your home, just like mine. So as always, stay inspired, motivated, keep moving, creating something beautiful. If not for yourself, then definitely for someone else. This has been Shenell. Have a beautiful day. And also, there's a new video up on lifestyle and inspiration with Shenell, my other channel, my faith-based channel, and you can go over and check that out. I will provide the link down below in the description area. Bye for now.